Hi people, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing, and if you're already here, thank you for watching. My name is Emily, and today I'm going to talk about something very strange that happened before COVID. Something strange, not really strange, it was a dream that I had in February. Just before end of February, I had a dream, and that dream, it just came to me vividly, and I could not understand why. But then later, that's when it came to my mind, maybe this is what I was being shown in my dream. What was the dream about? It was about a dark cloud. I saw a dark cloud in my dream, and that dark cloud was like a tsunami. There was a lot of water which was coming our way near our house. I was seeing like we were in our old house where I was living with my parents, and I could not understand why is this cloud coming to our house. And then I could scream to our neighbors, guys, listen, listen, something is coming, and I could shout on top of my voice, but they could not hear. I had to continue screaming, and I told my neighbor, please get into the house. Get into the house because there's a lot of water coming, and it finds you outside, you'll be carried away. Please get into the house. Everybody get into the house. But me, I was just standing outside watching. I was watching for that cloud of water. It was very dark, but I could see it moving like a heavy tsunami moving. And then while I was standing there, I watched, and then when it reached some point, it stopped, so that I can tell all these people to run into the house. It was a very strange dream that the next day I could not understand why I was shown that dream, or why I was shown that dark cloud. Little did I know that at the end of the at the end of the February, beginning of March, that's when we heard about COVID. For the first time, they told us there's an outbreak of a disease called COVID, which is affecting each and every person. And so we had to prepare ourselves for anything. Those were all the news. Those were the news in the media. People started panicking. People, being in Dubai, very far from home, you wonder, how are you going to reach home? How are you going to go home with this pandemic? That time it was not declared pandemic. It was just a virus. So for me, I said, okay, I had already prepared my vacation. My vacation was supposed to be in April. I had already booked my ticket for April. But then since when the virus started, we were not sure if we could fly back home or not. So I had to wait. We had to wait for pressure from the government to tell people if they're gonna travel or not. So the whole of March we were just waiting, stuck in Dubai, that we cannot go anywhere. So we were being given briefings each and every morning, with the possibility of closing down, and even people might go home. So everyone was just in a panic mode. But we're still working, we're still going on with our work, we're still going to work and back. Then by mid-March, I had prepared to fly on, in fact I was supposed to fly on 25th of March. Towards April was my vacation. So by the time I'm thinking of, oh, I already booked my flight and I need to go home, boom, the airport was closed. On 25th, the same day I was supposed to fly, on 25th, the airport in Dubai was closed. We could not travel, we could not get out. And so we had to stay, had to cancel my trip home. So then what next week? What we did, we just continued working. But after the airport was closed, our hotel also declared that they're gonna close the hotel for some time because of this situation, because we didn't know how it's gonna come out. We didn't know how the virus is gonna progress. So we had to wait and see and wait for the government also to announce. Little did we know that we're going to get stuck in Dubai and we're not going to go home soon. So we just stayed at home, but we were going like to work. We're going like 2 of us or maybe 3 of us, but the other operations were going like the shifts had reduced. They had reduced the shifts, so maybe 2 people would work, the other people will just stay in the accommodation. Then it reached April. When April came, now it was officially that we have to close the hotel. Only those few people who can handle or who have work to do, they'll go to work. If you don't have any work to do that is urgent, you need to stay in the accommodation. So that was it. We had to close the hotel. When the hotel closed, for me through April I could go to work. I was still going to work, but we had to wear masks. We had to wear gloves. You could not go out without gloves. That was how Dubai was. You could not go out without gloves and masks. So we're going to work, like the 2 of us, 3 of us, like in the office. Then all of a sudden the government said, if you really need to work, you really need to have a letter from the hotel or from the workplace that you really need to work, or that, like that work is very important, you have to do it. Otherwise, if it's not important, you have to stay at home. No one should go out. So our company gave us letters so that in case the police stops you on the way in the taxi, you can show them the letter. So we're going throughout April, we're going to work using the letters. There's no way you can go out without that letter, because if the police find you outside without the letter, you'll answer questions, you'll answer, even the company will be in trouble. So it was a very strict situation. We were very, very careful not to break the law also at the same time. So we worked throughout April because I'd already cancelled my vacation. And come May, the work we were doing, at the end of April, they told us in May there's nothing we can do. Everything is closed. Operations is closed. The whole hotel is closed. Now everyone needs to stay at home. There was only one security guard who was staying in the hotel, and some few people who could clean, like housekeeping. They could clean a very few who could clean the hotel so that it doesn't get dusty, the public area and the rooms. Otherwise, everyone was at home. And then all of a sudden, the company said, oh, instead of keeping people in the accommodation, they have to send them home. So most of the people were sent home. We're told to go home, and they'll call us on a later date. But then, as we went on, things changed. Some people went home. There were lockdowns. They could not come back. Those people were stuck in Dubai. because some countries are still on lockdown, like Sri Lanka, I think they're still on lockdown. So we stayed in the accommodation from May, June, July. Then July I said, oh no, I need to go home. I cannot stay in the house all this time without doing anything. I need to go. I need to find a flight and go home. But we were given allowances. When we were staying at home, there was an allowance that we were given for food and everything, because we were eating in the hotel. During working hours, we were eating in the hotel. At home, we used to cook. But then they had to give us allowance so that we can be able to buy food also. And also another thing, when you were staying at home, you could not just go to the supermarket without without an authorization from the government. They had an application whereby you had to put it in your mobile, so that when you want to go out and buy groceries, you need to get approval through that website. You say you'll be going out at 11 o'clock, for example, and back at 12 o'clock, because it has to be 1 hour. You cannot shop for more than 1 hour in the supermarket. So you just give a range of 1 hour, although you're not going to stay for 1 hour in the supermarket. Luckily, our supermarket was very near, so we just used to walk and back. But then in the supermarket, when you get that authorization, you wait for, when you send the request, you wait for the authorization from the government. They'll approve. After approval, that's when you'll go out. And this, in the supermarket, when you reach the supermarket, you cannot enter the supermarket without gloves and without masks. If you don't have, they used to issue gloves on at the door. So you go do your shopping and back. But all the malls were closed. Only the supermarkets were open, because you need to buy groceries. You need to buy food. But eateries were all closed. Like KFC, Burger Kings, they were all closed. All the restaurants were closed. You could not eat outside. That's how bad it was. So we thank God, at least when July came, I tried to book my ticket, and I got my ticket. But then traveling, the airport has to open, because the Dubai International Airport was closed already. So if you book a flight, both governments, like Kenya government and Dubai government, let's say UAE government, they have to communicate and say we are coming to get our citizens from this place on such a date. That's when the UAE government also will decide if they're going to open the airport or not. So we were just waiting. We had tickets, but we were just waiting. Sometimes they get cancelled. You wait, you book, you put another date for travel, until when the government will say, yes, now the flight can come in and pick up their citizens. And there were so many people, because Indians were going home. Sri Lankans, they wanted to go home. Filipinos, they wanted to go home. So each and every country, depending on their lockdown. If Kenya is locked down, UAE can travel to Kenya. I mean, the flights, Emirates can fly to Kenya. So if UAE is locked down, the flights from Kenya can go to UAE. And so they had to agree, both governments had to agree for them to enable us travel. So luckily, around July, we got a date. I think I came in on the 28th of July. That's when I got a flight. And there were so many people, because there was a special line where you could book your tickets. Otherwise, even if you book in Emirates, they cannot be able to book for you. There was a special reservation line where you could book your ticket. So through our company, we booked our tickets. And we got our tickets. We booked the flight, just waiting and praying that it will not be cancelled again. But luckily, on the 28th, I managed to come back home in July. End of July, I was in Kenya. But we had to do our test. We had to do our COVID test 3 days before traveling. And that was on your at your cost. The company is not paying for you. You pay for your PCR test. You do your PCR test, and then after 3 days you're free to travel. So we got our certificates, and that's when I traveled on the 28th and came back home. When we reached the airport was also very, very strict. This Kenya airport, we had to queue for a long time. But those who had certificates were lucky because we were cleared fast. Those who didn't have, they had to wait to go to be quarantined at your own cost, depending on where they're going to take you. So at the airport, those people who didn't have certificates, they had to remain there. They have to go for tests for a week or so. So I don't know what happened, if they really went to quarantine or not. But we thank God I reached home safely. And that's when I thought, and I said, that dream that I dreamt was all about COVID. God was trying to warn me that there's a dark cloud coming. That dark cloud was the virus. It was the virus that was being shown to me. And maybe God wanted me to go back home. Maybe God wanted me to come back home to be with my family. Because it was a torture staying in Dubai without doing anything. You're just waking up and seeing the four corners of your room every day. You cook and eat. You watch whatever, TV or whatever, the whole day. You don't come out because you cannot go out anyway. There is lockdown, there is curfew. But we thank God we came back home safely. And I'm enjoying Kenya. Kenya is beautiful. Home is always the best. And I thank God for everything. And I thank God that He showed me that cloud. Maybe it was time for me to come back home. As I end up my video, I thank you very much for watching. And please subscribe, share, like, comment down below if you also came back home because of COVID. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.